If you don't have a sidewalk, we want them to go right on the street edge. Here's a possible scenario. 2 o'clock in the morning, we have a significant earthquake that impacts this neighborhood. You step outside, and you know, most people are drawn to go outside. We like to help one another when disaster occurs. It brings out the very best in folks. You come outside, and you either hear a neighbor yell, "Fire! We've got fire!" or you smell, smoke, and see something's gone wrong. At 2 o'clock in the morning, you're going to want to be able to look up and down the sidewalk, the street edge, and see a whole street full of these extinguishers. So when you place them, keep in mind the idea of line of sight so that they are immediately accessible. Don't leave them on the porch. People are not going to go looking for them. We need to be able to see them immediately. Second thing to please keep in mind is we're only doing this after the disaster occurs. In other words, I don't want you to go home today and put your fire extinguisher outside on the sidewalk. When I was working in Seattle, I had a great block coordinator. She was about 83 years old, and she called me a few days after we'd held the meeting, and she said on the phone, "Luann, you'll be pleased to know about 80% of our neighbors have their fire extinguishers outside on the sidewalk." I said, "Mary Jane, I wish I had your persuasive abilities. That's fabulous. Now go tell them to put them back inside before it gets dark, or we're going to lose them. They'll be gone in the morning." So remember, this is part of the disaster response sequence. Keeping in mind that of all the 911 emergency responders, who's not available? It's the fire department, because they have that responsibility to do a windshield survey. So folks, fire is going to be our job. We're eliminating the common fuel source by shutting off gas that's problematic, and we're making our extinguishers available to the neighborhood so that we can quickly address that particular threat.
Step number 7 is go to the neighborhood gathering site.
Now you'll notice when you look at this that steps 1 through 6 have been completed at our own homes with our loved ones. Step 7 is where we now begin to focus on what we're going to do as a neighborhood to help and support one another. The first thing that we need to do, step number 7, is come to a neighborhood gathering site. The reason for that is when the disaster occurs, if all of us were to start all of a sudden going out on the street responding, what would we really have going on in the neighborhood? Chaos. We'd have people running around. We wouldn't know who they were. We wouldn't know where they were. We wouldn't know for sure what they were doing. So even though it takes time, some of our precious 60 minutes, it in fact saves time on step number 7 to come to a common place where we will get ourselves organized and coordinated.